Let's get it on. We're going to get it on because we don't get along.
We don't get along.
No, that's what you remember. Muhammad Ali said that about George Foreman. We're gonna get it on because we don't get along. I
I was
don't
gonna
like him. He
say
talks too much.
if you want to go, I can take an opposite stance on everything you say, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, you know what? We can roll with that, man. We can roll with that. Just start saying any damn thing and see what we can spit it into. And man, you know what? You want to manufacture a controversy? Let's go ahead and do it.
Now, I updated our Twitter profile. I put no BS, no hot takes, no. I don't know what else I said, but we get straight to it. Honest opinions, honest analysis, and reactions. That's what we're all about. No
And
bull.
that's it. Straight to it. You've watched the games. If you're a sports person, fan, short for fanatic, that means you probably follow the sports the way we do. You might follow hockey. Hey, we follow a little bit of hockey. Well, at least I do on occasion. But I'm not going to get here and talk about it like I'm a hockey maven. I know people I could bring in who do know their hockey, and they can answer every single question you want to ask if you decided to do that. But anyway, we talk about mostly the mainstream sports that here in America, football, basketball is huge. We're not going to talk too much about soccer unless it's like the World Cup and people are all into it anyway. And even then, probably not. Boxing, of course, international sport. That's probably most of our sports of expertise any damn way. So we got to talk about the fights, especially as scarce as they are these days. We jump on it when it happens. Things just happen to go well this year with boxing. But we're back again for another episode of the Sports Bag Bros podcast. And, yesterday we talked about, what happened in the extended week/weekend because of the holiday last week. We talked about boxing on that previous Wednesday. That Tuesday, we just talked about general sports as we did. Well, now all of those things have happened. All of the NFL games have been played. It ended yesterday. Minnesota,
night.
Chicago.
They put football back at least 30 years, man.
Bro, your team got that win, man.
They did, but it was ugly, man. And I was watching it. I said, you know what? I'm done with Justin Fields. Even if he comes back.
Really?
Even if he leads the game-winning drive. And he did. But there's too many turnovers. Fumble, they got a chance to go up 2 scores, and he fumbles the ball. They get the ball back, he fumbles again. Then they go down and score the touchdown, take the lead. It just happens way too often. I don't know the numbers, but I've watched the games, and I know so many times they've had opportunities for a game-winning drive, and it ended in a turnover, whether it's a strip sack or an interception. Last night was not the norm. He does have 3 game-winning drives in his short career, but I'm sure he has like 8 or 9 failed game-winning drives. That's not a good ratio. He's not
still a
CJ
young quarterback.
Stroud.
Still a young quarterback. They're trying to develop him into more of a pocket passer while still taking advantage of his running ability, which he does. Now, CJ Stroud kind of throws a monkey wrench in everybody's excuse, period. You've been around 3 years. You have pretty much the same skill set as CJ Stroud. However, he's the ultra athlete. CJ Stroud was just an athlete that you thought would do more running than throwing. He's the complete opposite, throwing up 300-yard games and giving you about 40 yards rushing, still winning games on a team that was supposed to have been a bottom feeder this year.
Yeah, but the Bears are bad. Jalen Johnson was playing like a man possessed, and then he has a chance for a pick 6. He already had 1 interception, and then it's right there in his hands. He drops it. Justin Fields is in the background, like jumping on. They won without scoring a touchdown. That was as close as they came. As close as they came to scoring a touchdown. It would have been a defensive touchdown, but he dropped the interception.
And
Second week in a row. Second week in a row.
Second week in a row, he dropped an interception for a touchdown, or just an interception.
He could have gotten caught, but against the Lions, he jumped the route at like the 4-yard line, dropped the pass. He'd have been off to the races. They win that game because then the Lions don't score that touchdown. They don't have enough time to come back after that.
Well, how about Josh Dobbs, man, 4 interceptions, and now they're pretty skeptical about whether or not he's going to start in the next game after the bye week.
Right, 4 interceptions against the Bears. He played better against better competition.
Yeah, he had.
But honestly, the Bears defense did play good yesterday. Like I said, Jalen Johnson was playing like a man possessed early in that game. He was coming up, making hard tackles. He had the interception, dropped the other ball, making up for Eddie Jackson's soft ass. He don't tackle nobody. But anyway, yeah, the defense played well yesterday.
And this is
But
a Minnesota team that was on the rise. Even with Josh Dobbs
right,
coming in, they were still on the rise. So it's taking nothing away from them. Yesterday we got into talking about so many things because the week had been so long. The weekend made it even longer with the holiday coming in, and we had a truncated show last week.
yeah, no
But
show
we
on
forgot,
Thursday.
we didn't get a chance to talk about a lot of the games, like the 49ers now getting back in position to show that they probably are the elite team in the NFC. I don't think there's any question right now the way they've been playing. The defense got 6 sacks, what we were expecting from the beginning of the season once everything kind of got to where it's supposed to have been with the 3 guys they have. Chase Young comes in from Washington. Now 4 guys they have, reminding us a lot of what the Philadelphia Eagles did back when Buddy Ryan was there when they had their 4 guys in the front.
Right. And you mentioned the Eagles. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion the 49ers are the best team. Eagles have the best record. 49ers, they had a little stretch where they were struggling, but they made the trade. Now they're back on top, it looks like. But it's going to come down to them and the Eagles. I can't say definitively the 49ers are the best team, but they found their mojo. Brock Purdy again.
Yeah. But the deal with the 49ers, it all came down to injuries. I mean, the injury bug came and it was rampant. You still had McCaffrey, who's known for being injured, but he stuck it out, toughed it out, played with injuries, didn't get quite the production that we used to see him get, but he still kind of served with them, and they weren't getting blown out, but they were losing those games. Now that those guys are healthy again, and it goes for almost any top player. I mean, whether Tom Brady had quality players, either Joe Montana had his quality players with Jerry Rice. If those guys are gone, he's not as effective. It just goes that way. And this is what happened with Josh Purdy. He got the respect he had gotten because the players that he has are elite players. He got the ball to them last year. He did it early on this year, but the NFL, now with an extra game, players get injured. That's what happened. His numbers went down according to that. Defensively, though, they didn't pick it up, but they ultimately got it back together now. So I think
that's what I was saying when they had their losing streak. It was the defense that was letting them down. They're giving up 28 points, 31 points. Yeah. And Brock Purdy's not the guy to get into shootouts. I didn't blame Brock Purdy at all for that little bad stretch they had.
Oh, bro, social media. You go on social media and people were talking about, see, I told you he was a boss. I told you he was a bum. I told you he was this and that. Just because
they say that about Patrick Mahomes too on social media.
Exactly. You know what I mean? I remember in the beginning of the season when they lost to Detroit and Kansas City, they were talking, see, I told you he's not a great quarterback. Who the hell are you telling someone that Patrick Mahomes with 2 Super Bowls?
Because his receivers drop passes, he's not a great quarterback? Come on, man.
But when people have these agendas, they don't want to hear anything. They just want to advance their lame agenda regardless of the lack of support they have for their agenda. It's just the way it goes. Boxing has their same clowns and basketball has the same. Everybody has their clowns. It's just that whatever's in season, whatever's hitting hard, you're going to hear them the loudest because they're looking to hit it. But yeah, the 49ers back on track. And it looks like, the 2, I think, class of the NFC, definitely San Francisco and the Eagles. The Eagles haven't had their rash of injuries like the 49ers yet, if it's going to happen at all. And now that and then it's not to say, I bit my tongue. Just because the 49ers had gone through it, that it's not coming back. It can happen at any time again. It might be Josh Purdy, the guy who goes down and plays injured.
His name is Brock.
Oh my God. What's going on with this? Bro.
Who the hell is Josh Purdy?
I'm trying I gotta do a Google search to find out who the hell Josh Purdy is. The guy's haunting me from a grave or something.
You mentioned the Eagles, and I just remember something. Did you see when Jalen Carter tried to intercept the spike ball?
Let me see. Nah.
They were playing. It was a couple weeks ago. Somebody was trying to spike it, and he dove through the line trying to catch it. And his hands came close, but it's going to be awfully hard to catch that.
That's a heads-up play, though.
Yeah, it is. I always thought about that. Like, why doesn't somebody just try and dive and catch that ball? Because it's not like they're blocking. They know he's going to spike it, and nobody blocked him. He dove through the line, and he came this close to getting his hands on it, man. I was like, man, that's a hell
No
of
one
a
expects that. It's like when
right.
Dan Marino did the fake spike against the Jets. Oh, and it's always the Jets. Come on now. If you want 2,000 yards, if you're in the cuff, play the Jets. OJ got his 2,000 against them, or was it? Oh, yeah, OJ did it back in the Shea Stadium, and then I think it was the Terrell Davis get it against him as well. I know Barry Sanders did. So if you want
That's
2,000 yards, if you're in the
crazy.
cuff, line the Jets up and you'll get your 2,000. If you want to do some type of a clown instance or make some type of history, go to the freaking Jets and you're going to probably get it. Unbelievable how that organization is. I've been following them forever and it hasn't changed. You talk about the Chicago Bears, you still got a championship since you've been alive. Come on, man. I'm not getting any younger.
Speaking of Barry, I almost said Barry Bonds. Barry Sanders, I guess there's a documentary called Bye Bye Barry.
I watched it, man, just the other day. A friend of mine told me to watch it.
Your guy I work with asked me if I watched it. I said, no, I have to check it out. He said Scott Mitchell was on the warpath. He's tired of people saying Barry had no quarterback. He went in on Barry talking about what did he do in those playoff games? -1 yards, 23 yards, 49 yards. I don't know. I got to watch it.
You know what? Scott Mitchell, bro, he makes a good point because Scott Mitchell was no bum of a quarterback when he was at his best with that Detroit team. He was
they had a good stretch. They had Herman Moore. Herman Moore was a hell of a wide receiver.
Johnny Morton, yeah.
Johnny Morton, that's the other guy I couldn't think of from USC, right?
So, yeah, exactly.
I think they even had one other wide receiver who was good.
Let me see. Isaac King, was it?
I have to.
No, Isaac King was with I looked at another wide receiver. Isaac King played with the Saints. I mean, not the Saints, the Rams. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, man.
Back on track.
They weren't that bad. I mean, they weren't that bad. It was
not for his entire career. Not for his entire career. Yeah.
No, he wasn't. And I mean, but the offensive line was the problem there. And even then, they had Glover and they had what's his name? The other other offensive lineman they had Glover and oh my God, I just saw his doggone name. Can't believe it. But they had two offensive linemen that were good offensive linemen, and Glover was a perennial pro, so Pro Bowl, All Pro. So it's not like the offensive line was completely bad. I think a lot of it comes down to because they coexisted was the Dallas Cowboys and what Detroit had to go with, and it was Emmitt Smith and it was Barry Sanders. So you automatically look at the offensive line that Emmitt had, and if Barry would have had that line, I think he would have had $2,000 like every season. But it wasn't like that.
Now I subscribe to that theory, but Michael Irvin made a good point recently. He says, "How come none of Emmitt's backups could run like Emmitt if it was the line?"
No, it was the line. It was the line because the line was that great. It's just that, and you know what? When it came to his backups, you're not going to get a whole lot of carries as a backup. You might get a spell every now and then, as you know, running back.
No, he's talking about on the games he was hurt. On the games he missed. He's like nobody else was running for 85, 100 yards. They couldn't do it,
and they weren't. I'm still thinking that getting used to being out there. You know, if you're not running back is all instinct. Of course, you got to know your blocking assignments, but instinct matters more for running backs. You know, I think it's more of an instinctive position than like wide receiver, which is a learned position.
Vision.
Vision. That's it. It's an instinctive. You have your vision, you have your reaction time. You know, you have your speed, and like what Barry Sanders said, what's the difference between him and someone else? Well, I can get there. Well, when you're running as fast as you can, yes, you can get there. If the slower guy is not there a split second earlier, he gets tackled. But you know, I think that line does matter because when Emmitt Smith didn't have that line, he was still getting 3.9 yards a carry. And he was still, 3.9, 3.1. And he had it in the beginning of his career, and he had it at the end of his career with the Arizona Cardinals when there wasn't an offensive line. Barry, for his career, averaged 5 yards a pop. In his 2,000-yard season, 6 yards a pop. And over 7 yards a pop for the last 14 games of that season. I mean, Barry was just different because if you switched lines, Barry would have been, one of Emmitt's backups is one thing. Putting Barry back is another. And Barry would have been running like Madden or something back there. But you know what? That's all dreams and hopes and wishes. And Emmitt, no slouch. And I hate that they take credit from him because he had that offensive line. He didn't have that offensive line all the time. They built that team around him. In fact, my first draft I went to was the draft that Jimmy Johnson was.
Emmitt was a warrior, man. He was a warrior.
Exactly. He was an absolute warrior.
Offensive line. He played hurt. They were his shoulder hanging up, run for 100 or something, and 3 touchdowns.
He wasn't faking injuries. This dude got hit and hurt for real.
Emmitt was a warrior, man. But
no question.
Let's get back on track. This ain't a flashback show.
Oh yeah, but you brought up Barry, man. That's my dude, man.
You brought up Barry.
You said run Barry run with the show that you said
No,
talked
you.
about.
That's why I mentioned it because you said Barry Sanders.
Oh,
Anyway,
we talking about
back on
we went
track.
back to
Back on
Scott
track.
Mitchell, then Barry Sanders, blah blah blah. But yeah,
Back
okay,
on track. We're
yeah,
gonna
but
have to throw that flag like the commercials and
we
rewatch.
throw the flag. Let's do the replay and see how it really started. Let's blame Scott Mitchell. Everyone else did. So, but yeah, the NFL. You know what? We talked about the Kansas City Chiefs and how they're playing now, and they did beat the Raiders this past weekend. They obviously haven't looked the way they've been looking in past seasons. And as players get injured and players just don't do their job by dropping the ball, obviously Patrick Mahomes can't continue to play as great as he's playing, even though he's delivering the way he needs to deliver. Guys just aren't catching it. Well, look at this. In the AFC West, you still have the Denver Broncos, who started off 1-5. They're now 6-5. They had a 70 spot dropped on them. They got a serious chance.
That's a crazy, crazy turnaround. They were like historically bad.
Yes.
I mean, giving up 70 points. I can't remember the last time 70 points were scored in an NFL game. It might have been the Bears in Washington back in the 40s or whatever.
That's
when it was 73 zip. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody scored 70 between those two games. We dog Sean Payton. He's an asshole to the media.
Yep.
He was an asshole to Hackett. But he's doing a hell of a job right now. He turned it around, man.
Yeah, I tell you what, too, because people are talking about how old Russell Wilson is, and you look at the stats, he's not doing what he did in Seattle. He's not putting up the 300-yard games or even the 250 or 275-yard games with the 3 touchdowns with the consistency we've used to seeing him with, which is probably going to get him into the Hall of Fame one day. But when you look back at it, and you look how the season has started, 1-5, and now they're 6-5. They've been on a tear, and now they're becoming a real threat. You look at his numbers, 20 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Bro, what's going on? He just snuck up on you with those numbers. And it's not like he has a whole bunch of big numbers, just overall total yardage. He just getting the touchdowns when he needs them. I think one game he had like 3 touchdowns, but like 120 yards, 130 yards. That's what matters, the touchdowns, and they won.
Like he was really bad last year, and he was pretty bad early this year. But he's found it. He's got it back.
And I'm wondering how bad was he really, because he only had 4 interceptions at this point. You know what I'm saying? So he just wasn't efficient, I guess, efficient enough. Apparently, if they were losing all those games, and a lot of
maybe it just took him and Peyton a month and a half
to
get together on the same page, and now they got it going.
But you also realize that Peyton has been running his mouth lately either. He kind of shut up, went behind the scenes, and just did his job. And now things are starting to work out. Doing. And that's what he should have been doing, instead of trying to, I don't know. I always liked him because he was a fiery coach, but he was also a genius, and he's part of the Parcells tree. But I was like, you know what? Now you're trying to become something I think you're not, by calling coaches out and trying to make a bunch of chaos. You don't need that, man. You have a ring, and you got a legacy, and you're trying to add to it. And you're coming out of
I think he was trying to give himself more space. If you could put blame on the previous regime, you get more time to fix it. And I think that's what he was doing.
Well, either way, whatever he did is now starting to work. I'm not going to say it's a finished product now, but going by the things that are happening in Kansas City, when they can't find anything consistent outside of Kelsey, or even Pacheco can't even get it going because they don't have to
play the Chiefs.
Oh, wow. I haven't checked the schedule. But then, they will be playing the Chiefs again, and it's going to be a hot-ass game. And if it's do they play Mile High? I don't know. I don't even know that part. If they end up
the Chiefs should definitely be favored, but all it takes is two key drop passes, a third down here, a touchdown there, and Broncos are right there to win.
And that's what you can say with some confidence now. You can say something like that with real confidence, knowing that there aren't any guarantees with these wide receivers. And it's just it blows my mind how and I know they got rid of Hardeman a couple of with the Jets, and the Jets just got rid of Hardeman too. So apparently this guy can't catch. But man, I tell you what, it's been impressive what Denver has done recently, and it really just comes to mind now when you look at it, I guess, on a national scale, because this season is still going to be known for the 70 points that was dropped on them, period. If they end up winning the Super Bowl, that just adds to the legacy, adds to the story. Sure. It's not going to happen, but
Nah,
man,
they're not winning the Super Bowl.
no, they're not
But
winning the Super Bowl. I think that they have a legitimate chance depending on how they play Kansas City at the AFC West.
I think the West is more wide open.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
West. It's not East and West. What are we saying?
The
AFC and
AFC West.
NFC. No, I'm talking conference.
Oh,
The AFC is more wide open than the NFC. To me, it's a two-team race in the
yeah,
NFC.
it's true. Yep.
But the Chiefs have their wide receiver issues. The Ravens, they've had drop pass issues as well. They could be undefeated too if their wide receivers made catches. Or not two, but I meant the Chiefs, if the wide receivers could catch the ball, they could be undefeated. And the Ravens could also be undefeated if their guys caught the ball. And
And
you
look,
got the Bills, they might be out of the playoff picture. The Broncos, are they for real? Bengals don't have Burrow. Browns don't have Watson. Steelers got
the
Pickett.
Steelers have Pickens, and that's like having no one right now. At least he's not getting the dog. He's
You
not
got
throwing too many Pickens, but
you
he's
got you
just
got
not.
the Jags and possibly the Texans.
Yeah,
It's wide open. It's
a lot
wide
of
open.
happy
I mean,
teams in the AFC.
CJ Stroud shows what he can do, man. If he gets hot, he is a quarterback that you can go into a shootout with,
Yep, and it's
right?
true. Yep,
And
he's
if he
putting up
gets hot,
40-yard
let's say
games.
against the Ravens, and they don't have Mark Andrews now, he could outgun Lamar Jackson 38-35 or something. You know, it's possible.
Yeah, and with Lamar Jackson, it's not even about a tossing or throwing contest with him. It's still him still trying to run. And as the season gets older, and teams continue to know how he gets down and able to stop certain things he does, and when he's missing weapons, that means he's going to run more. That means there may be an opportunity to knock him out of the game. And if he gets knocked out of the game, forget about it. Now, the
Yeah,
one
but
thing
my son will tell you every time he's gotten hurt, it's been in the pocket.
been in the pocket
I
because he
know,
didn't
I
know what to
know
do
he'll
back
tell
there,
you
right?
this because he told that to some guys at the airport when we were coming back from Tallahassee.
Mm-hmm.
They were Bengals fans.
You know what you're going to get from them. And, going into this season, Dobbins was supposed to have been their running back, and he's hurt again.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they rely on Gus Edwards, who's giving them some solid running. He's the quintessential AFC North running back. Just runs tough when it's cold out. You can just hand him the ball over and over and over.
I'll tell you what, though, Odell was looking good the other night.
Really?
Odell, he I'm not gonna say he's a top receiver again, but he was looking good. And they got Zay Flowers. That kid can fly.
Zay Flowers.
So Lamar has some weapons there.
We're stuck
Odell
with Zay
looks
Jones
like
here.
he's getting into rhythm now. He had like 6-7 catches, I think.
And I'm hoping that he continues to do that because the overall numbers, and I'm thinking now, man, football has changed so much to where the numbers that used to really matter, having a whole bunch of yards passing and then the touchdowns to match it up, kind of commiserate with one another, 4 touchdowns, 300 plus yards. Now we get into what I was just talking about earlier with Denver, with Russell Wilson. You're getting 3 touchdowns, but 122 yards, 130 yards. You're still winning the game. You're reaching the objective. You're doing it. And this is what we're doing with Lamar Jackson, man. He's throwing for 170-something yards, but he's winning games. Sometimes he doesn't even need a touchdown passing. He'll have an interception, but he ran for 2 touchdowns. You know what I mean? And we've already seen him enough when it comes to the playoffs that things get a bit sketchy and things get a little out of hand to where he can't really make the magic work. And he hasn't done it since he's been in the league, hasn't made the magic work when it needed to work. Maybe now that he's used to being in the NFL, he should have been used to it 2-3 years ago. But now it seems like that it's on the right path now. He has the players there to kind of like methodically win games. You can rely on Gus Edwards, surprisingly, to run the ball. I mean, he really isn't anything special because the explosiveness is not there, but the reliability, running to the ground and really being able to grind it out, he can do that. Now, remember, he played at Miami, transferred to Rutgers, old New York dude from Tottenville High School. So I knew he's a tough dude, not because he's a New York player, because typically New Yorkers don't put out good football players, but he's been grinding it out since he's been there. It's like this is the guy that kind of like survives final cuts like every year, just plays hard. I mean, it doesn't get that bad, but it looks like, man, this is going to be the year they probably find somebody who's going to jump in, but he's the old dog, the old soldier that still continues to get the ball and gives them somewhat of a reliable running back in the backfield.
Yeah, but let's get on to college.
The
rankings came out.
Today is Tuesday, so the rankings came out. The voters voted, and going into the weekend of champions to decide who's going to go where, because they're doing the deciding on December 3rd, which is Sunday, picking the bowl games for the teams. The top 4 teams, Georgia's still there, Michigan is there, Florida State at number 3 though. That trips me out.
That surprised me too when I saw it, but they are undefeated. So
exactly. You know what? That has to have credibility. I was talking about it yesterday, how even a one-loss team, even if it lost to the team that's undefeated, like Oregon, Washington, Oregon still, now that they've played so well, and I think, and the way they did lose that game, well, style points mean nothing. They're going by if you're undefeated and you're in the Power 5 conference, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt. Those 4 teams, undefeated, got the benefit of the doubt.
Right. It'll be real interesting, though. Let's say Oregon beats Washington, as you predicted, and Alabama beats Georgia. Man, Woo. Those last couple spots, man. I think Florida State's going to lose to Louisville, but if they win,
I'm backup quarterback. And just
they'll stay, but then you got Washington, Oregon, Alabama, Georgia, all with 1 loss, and you still have Texas, who beat Alabama.
Exactly. And how is Alabama with a conscience? How could they skip over Texas after Texas beat them pretty decisively, even though it was earlier in the season? And I know how Nick Saban is. He'll mention that it was earlier in the season. We didn't figure out our quarterback situation until a little bit later, and we see how it is now. And we can all agree, if we've been watching Alabama football, how things have changed so much, and how Jalen Monroe has changed from what he was in the beginning or even last year to what he is now. This guy is confident in his own arm. He already has the running ability that's God-given, and it's a completely different team. And the defense has been holding everyone in check until he got his act together. And, it almost kind of fell apart against Auburn last weekend, but that's still the rivalry game. And now they're going into the SEC championship game, trying to prevent Georgia from doing the three-peat thing that hasn't been done since the World War II era. Now, what I'm wondering now, if they did beat Georgia by just a point, a field goal, something like that, does Georgia go from number 1 to number 5 and everybody else moves in front of them?
Yeah, they're out of the playoffs. Yeah, that'll be real interesting. How they lose too, I'm sure is going to factor into it. Yeah. But if you're a college fan and you plan on watching college football Saturday,
yep.
I hope you get the split screen because Michigan, Iowa's at night, Washington, Oregon's at night, and what's the other game? There's another night game, 3 night games.
Florida State, Louisville.
Yeah, Florida State, Louisville. They're all at night, and they all have playoff implications.
All Power 5 conference teams, man, and this is going to be big. I think, in my opinion, the SEC is going to be the biggest one, even though I think the Pac-12 should be just as big when you look at how close those 2 teams are, and they've played one another already this season. But I think Oregon has the advantage there. But this Alabama-Georgia game, I'm picking Georgia this early because I don't think it's going to change. I'm going to pick Georgia now because I'll pick them on Thursday as well. I don't think there's anything that's going to change between it, because as much as Jalen Monroe has improved, Jalen Monroe hasn't improved enough. We saw enough mistakes last Saturday going past the line of scrimmage, still throwing the ball with the illegal forward passes. Still a few mistakes that a quarterback in his second year can make, but probably shouldn't make. And, Nick Saban is going to reinforce what he should do or shouldn't do. But I think Georgia has it all in place. All of those players who had a chance to rest last week against Georgia Tech, probably a big reason why the game was closer. Lab McConkey, Brock Bowers, of course. 2 freshmen, I believe, was at linebacker. Man, the real boys come back this Saturday, resting up for Alabama, and the rivalry is on. Vegas sees it as Georgia. I think they're a 5-point favorite, but doesn't matter what Vegas thinks. I just think Georgia just has the firepower to do it. They win because of the quarterback play. Jalen Monroe is not going to outplay Carson Beck, as Carson Beck has gotten better in the last 4 games.
We'll see. I'll give my pick on Thursday, but
yeah,
Washington, Oregon, there's also Heisman implications in that game.
Absolutely. 2 Heisman Trophy candidates going at it.
Exactly. If Penix throws for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns and beats Oregon, hey, that's good. That's going to garner a lot of attention.
Yep.
That'll probably eliminate Bo Nix despite his numbers.
Yep, it'll eliminate Bo Nix and make it a more of a 2-man race between Jaden Daniels and LSU, even though he has
how voters like undefeated teams.
About to say
quarterbacks on undefeated teams.
Because come on, man, look back at 1992. Gino Toretta won the Heisman Trophy because Miami was undefeated. Luckily, they made the vote before they ended up getting beat to death by that Alabama team in the Sugar Bowl that won 34-13. But Gino Torretta shouldn't have got no Heisman that year.
He's not the only one. There's been other quarterbacks who.
Oh yeah, there've been other quarterbacks, but I mean, being on that undefeated team that had a chance at the national championship, undefeated the previous year, they played Nebraska in that national championship game in the Orange Bowl, and they were trying to repeat. They got their butts kicked. In fact, the year they won the game, split the championship with Washington, I was glad Miami didn't have to play Washington. Washington was that freaking good back then. So, that's the past. But, speaking of Miami, by the way, Tyler Van Dyke goes to the transfer portal.
So is one of your running backs, Chaney, I think.
Chaney, yeah.
Yeah.
Ronald Chaney. So
yeah, he's entering the portal also.
And I don't blame him. We have so many running backs, and those running backs have been effective. Fletcher's been effective. Henry Parrish has been effective. And we have freshmen coming in. Bro, that's the position other than having to pick up the block and learning your blocking assignments, that instinct and that pure physical ability at that age is going to be the difference. If you're a fast SOB as an 18-year-old, well, you might be a faster SOB at 19 years old. So, and these older guys who are already like juniors and seniors, or because of COVID, they might have gotten a super senior year. These guys just aren't. They already hit their ceiling. But Tyler Van Dyke, I saw the writing on the wall, and before the season started. But I was like, you know what? Let's see how things work. And when things were looking good, they were good. But when they got bad and got bad fast. I knew he wasn't coming back. He's not a Cristobal guy. He's a Manny Diaz guy. And Cristobal has his guy who ended up getting hurt when we watched the game. And he has other guys coming in. So, yeah, Tyler Van Dyke, last season, there was some speculation that he may go to Alabama. And ultimately, he stayed. He said, those were real stories. He ended up staying. But the transfer portal changes the game in college football. Just last year, 2,918 people went through the transfer portal, man. You can shop there like you do at Walmart, Sam's Club. Just
ESPN has a transfer tracker. I was checking it out earlier. There's like 9 quarterbacks, a bunch of receivers, some linebackers, a couple linemen. You go in there and try and pluck what you need.
That's what you do. And I brought it up earlier this season with Georgia State, how they brought in, I think, 20. They lost 19. You would think you would call them, based on not being a Power 5 conference team, they're just pretty much there. A nondescript team, I guess, for lack of a better term. And they're doing it like that. And Mario Cristobal's son, Louis Cristobal, was one of those players on the Georgia State offensive line that transferred to Miami to be a backup on the offensive line, to play with his father or play for his father. So, yeah, and then Dabo Swinney now, what does he do? I think this year, because it's been going up incrementally every year, last year was 2,918 that went into the portal. The year before that, it was, I think, 23 or 2,400. So it's going up every year. I guess it's safe to say over 3,000 after this season. You got to go shopping, Dabo Swinney, if you want to win a championship. Nick's going to be in front row of the shop with his shopping cart. Kirby's going to be there with a couple of his shopping carts. And then the Canes, Deion Sanders is going to be there with his shopping cart. Not
even to win the championship, just to compete.
Just to compete. That's
exactly they have 4 or 5 losses this year, right? I mean,
Clemson. Swinney? Yeah, Clemson. Yeah, from a team not too far, not immediately, but not too far.
He's getting hate on his Monday calling show. So.
Yeah, he's getting hate, exactly, and he's fighting back with that, man. I know some people were like, well, when Nick Saban retired, we want Dabo Swinney or Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart doesn't need to go to Alabama to get a better job. Georgia is the plum job. That's one of the jobs that, you'll be making a unilateral move just to go to Alabama, in my opinion, the way things are now and the way it's set up. On the other hand, Dabo Swinney playing at Clemson, that's an increase or a better job going to Alabama.
But how could he even do that? Like, every year, that's who you want to beat the most, pretty much, right?
Yeah, but he's an Alabama.
And then you're going to go there, and now you're going to beat you're going to have that same hatred for the school you came from. That's like a Purdue basketball coach leaving to go coach Indiana. That just doesn't happen.
It doesn't make sense.
Vice versa.
But you know what?
Or Duke and North Carolina coaches.
But Dabo Swinney, man, he played on that 1992 Alabama team against Miami in the Sugar Bowl. I think that just
Sweeney, but not Smart.
No, Smart. No, Smart. He just played it was on the staff. That was it. So Smart doesn't have any reason to go. Swinney.
That's what I'm saying. He's already at his.
Yeah, he's exactly. It's like The SEC, first of all, always believes that they're the best conference. Most times they are. And you look at the numbers and look at the statistics and the championships, it kind of
But
says,
they
yes,
even believed that. They even believed that when they weren't,
yeah,
like the
you know what?
80s
But
and
right
90s.
now, the past 20 years, you have a lot of empirical evidence. So
Oh yeah,
it kind of works out.
gotta
But
fake it till you make it.
bro, I don't know about that because even before when they weren't winning championships, somebody from the SEC was winning the championship. But the bottom line is you have you have a like Urban Meyer. He came from Bowling Green. He's an Ohio guy. He came from Bowling Green. He went from Bowling Green to Utah. He went from Utah to Florida.
But it's
Florida
not
fans
going
believe,
from Michigan to Ohio State.
yeah, but Florida believed that that was the job for him. See, he's at the best
Well,
job he could
Florida
possibly be
believed.
at because that's how they think. They don't believe that he should have gone to Ohio, but for him being an Ohio guy, if you're an Ohio guy and you have an opportunity at Ohio State, that's your job. That's what you do. You go to
Yeah,
Ohio
but
State.
it's not leaving Florida for Tennessee.
I know, but he left Florida for Ohio State. It's just that the way Florida perceives themselves as being such an elite place that no one would want to leave. And that's pretty much a lot of the elite SEC teams. They believe when these coaches come that there's just the final chapter of their career. They're just going to stay until they either get fired or retired. If they're winning championships like Urban was doing, you expected that. But when the Ohio State job became open, they just couldn't believe that. Why would he even consider that? Bro, he's an Ohio guy. You have to understand how much this means to coach Ohio State to this Ohio guy. I mean, that's just how it goes. It just blows my mind because I did work for the flagship station of the Gators, and they just were beside themselves. You know, like, I can't believe this, man. Why would he want to leave us? Bro, he's not from Florida. He's not from the Southeast. He's from up there. The same way he hopped from Bowling Green to Utah. He had no allegiance to Utah, even when they beat up on Alabama.
It could have been co-eds involved too. You know, you
Oh
never
yeah,
know.
well, yet a story for another day, of course. Co-eds involved, and you know what? Speaking of co-eds involved, well, Bobby Petrino's back with Arkansas. His co-ed issues he had years ago, you know, on the motorcycle. So yeah, man, the co-eds they would have had a great college career coaching if it wasn't for those meddling co-eds. But that's what happens. But
So,
anyway,
well, wouldn't it be crazy if Harbaugh comes back and they lose to Iowa Saturday?
bro. He'll probably just leave. They'll feel like that. You know what? Let's just fire him now, and no one's gonna really care. I don't think they'll fire him, but come on, that would be crap because I was so bad offensively,
What
just so bad.
they're 5-0 without him, right? Or
Yeah,
how many
four,
how many
yeah,
games they
actually,
missed
the
at the
beginning of the
beginning?
season, 3 games,
So it's 6 then. They're
6-0
6
without
and
him.
0 without him. That's
Bro, man,
crazy.
you're just there, man. You're just like a picture of touchdown Jesus on the wall. That's it. You just
That's
win it.
crazy.
But yeah, man, that's pretty damn insane. But you know, I think Harbaugh putting the team together as he did with the recruits that he used, you know, 5-star players, even mostly 4-star players for him, 3 and 4-star players, not even a whole plethora of 5 stars like you get at Georgia and Alabama or even Texas A&M 2 seasons ago. He wasn't getting those types of players, and he's on the cusp of a possible championship, at least getting an opportunity. But yeah, but Jim Harbaugh
They
will be
shouldn't
back.
handle Iowa. Iowa's
Oh yeah,
off.
no problem. I was so bad offensively. They got Kirk Ferentz fired his own son.
Limited to say the least.
Oh, limited. When the over under is 26 and a half, 24, you come on, man. That means that you score 12 points, man. Iowa needs to pack it up and go home. So it's like, it's over, man. We just can't come back. And it's awful. But yeah, man, but college football certainly is going to be on the forefront this weekend, you know, probably trumping the NFL right now, at least, and it should.
Mhm.
So a lot of good things going on. And Fran Brown, by the way, Georgia's defensive back coach, is going to Syracuse, replacing Dino Babers, who I thought was going to be a good coach when he had that double-digit win a couple of years ago. Went downhill ever since. Started the season good the past 2 seasons. Got smashed at the end of the season. They had to get rid of him. I didn't like to see him go, but he had to go. So now, you know, Fran Brown, UGA defensive back coach, been around, you know, been at Temple. He's been a couple of other places, been at Rutgers, I guess, and he's known for his recruiting. So he's been up there with Greg Schiano and Rutgers, and we know what he does with bringing Florida players to Piscataway and Jersey for Rutgers and how they've been in bowl games, which is like foreign for them. You know, the first time he did it, he's doing it again the second time around. Yeah, but that's another job that's been filled. So many coaches getting jobs. We talked about yesterday how James Madison is going to be able to go to a bowl game because of the lack of qualified teams going to bowl games this year. So kudos for them as well. And so that would be pretty much it for college football right now. So we can talk a little bit about some basketball real quick. Josh Giddey, Oklahoma City. What's going on here, man? They're talking about him dealing with a minor. I mean, that's a story that's out there.
I didn't hear that. No, I didn't
Yeah,
see
man.
that.
And it's been news for a couple. It hit over the weekend. We had the long weekend and whatnot. And the tribesmen, as I like to call them, they always look at things in the color spectrum. Or if it's a black guy doing it and a white guy doing it, they're pissed off because Malika Andrews didn't have the same energy as she had talking about previous players in the past screwing up. But she also didn't have the energy talking about Josh Giddey. And then they were talking about Stephen A. didn't either. But Stephen A. was a little bit more measured and thoughtful about what he was saying as a rebuttal, saying, hey, we don't have all the information. We don't even know her age. By the way, Giddey is 21 years old. We don't know if she's, like Stephen A. said, we don't know if she's 17 now, going to be 18 next month. I mean, it's still going to be a crime no matter what. But people just want him to say something and get sued over it. He said, I'm not getting sued over this. But Josh Giddey, man, at a time when the OKC is on fire, man, they got such a hell of a core, that team.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I haven't seen that. I have to look that up when we finish the show.
Yeah, it's a mess, man.
I was perplexed. I didn't see nothing about LeBron or Lakers on my timeline today.
Well, he did play more minutes than Kareem. That's all they had.
Yeah, but they lost by 44 last night to Philly. Where's all that energy, man? LeBron this, LeBron that. Lakers got come on. And now they're saying, oh, he don't have enough help. He never has enough help. Come on, man.
He can't get enough help, man.
They signed this guy. They signed that guy. Signed that guy. Re-signed D'Lo. Re-signed Reeves. Come on, man. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just saying.
He's just waiting.
I can't help it. I can't help it.
Around for Bronny, man. That's all.
If they play, I don't know if they play tonight or tomorrow. If they win, oh, the Lakers. Come on, man. Give it a break.
Well, long as wherever LeBron goes,
I'm just saying, if you're gonna say they were good, they beat the Rockets this night. Well, say they were bad when they lost to the Rockets by 20 a couple nights before. Say they were bad last night, like historically bad. 44, they lost by 44.
Bro, that's a lot, bro. That's just
And
there's no way around it. No matter what franchise you are, there's no way around a 44-point loss.
Don't come on Thursday talking about, the Lakers did put that win behind them. They won tonight. Yeah. No, man. If you're going to pick a game to talk about, then you pick all the games.
Yep.
If not, wait to the playoffs. Keep your mouth shut. Shut the hell up until the playoffs start.
Wait to the playoffs. He might not be there. He won't be able to talk about them. Come on. The things are competitive out there.
Well, then they can just stay quiet.
I guess the only real news outside of that was he surpassed Kareem for minutes played, and et cetera, et cetera. He was going to do that anyway. He did with the points already. Now it's the minutes, and they're going to just keep doing a countdown. And then it's the MJ thing again. If he even gets into a position,
just imagine if he didn't load manage, he could have done it like 3 or 4 years ago.
And that's another story. Yep, that's true. And now you have official load management, so it's a little slower coming, or he'll be able to extend it slower because of taking those breaks.
Oh, I saw a video of Dwayne Wade talking about Kobe. When Kobe got his fifth. What?
No, so what?
Yeah, when he was watching the finals when Kobe got his fifth with Gasol and those guys.
Yeah.
He said right after the game, he called LeBron, said, what are you going to do? That was their free agent year. They got together to beat Kobe.
Oh, really?
So it's not LeBron didn't start the super teams. Kobe started the super teams because they had to beat Kobe.
Oh man, see, but I've always thought it was the Celtics that started it, with Pierce and Garnett, and
possibly. But I mean, teams make trades all the time.
Bosh just happened to be him, Ray Allen, and Garnett, Ray Allen, and freaking Pierce.
Yeah, but Bosh and LeBron were free agents joining Wade. They
teamed up.
They conspired to go to.
That's exactly what it was, man. They colluded, man.
Yeah, we go to South Beach, and they went to South Beach, and they still couldn't beat Dirk.
Yeah, exactly. They got the championship they came to get. Just the amount of championship they thought they were going to get didn't come close to it.
when they said not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, they
Yeah,
were
I
right.
remember that part.
They were right.
They were correct. So hey, everybody always claim how LeBron is wrong. He was right this time around. They didn't get any of those. You know what I mean? But sticking with basketball for a final topic, Mark Cuban selling his majority stake of the Dallas Mavericks. How about that? To Miriam Adelson. She's the widow
Majority
of
stake?
Sheldon Adelson. Huh?
Majority stake? Like
Majority
he's
stake,
going to be out completely?
No, he's going to only take over football operations, or basketball operations.
Football operations.
Yeah. He said,
you taking over from Jerry Jones?
Doing
What?
Jerry Jones' job too. You know what? And Mark Cuban, as we know, he's the multi-billionaire several times over. He got the team for over $260 million. Shoot, the team's worth $3.6 billion now, $3.5 billion, somewhere around there.
Hold up.
A hell of an increase, man.
He's gonna oversee basketball operations.
He's
not a basketball guy.
He thinks he is.
Oh my gosh.
He is a IU grad. He loves basketball. You know, he has a basketball hoop at home.
Saying, man. Whatever. Good luck to him, man.
Yeah, I
still want him to buy the White Sox.
But he's been an excellent owner, and he's been
free up some funds and buy the White Sox. There you go.
Brilliant, man. He's about to get a bunch of money off of his small investment relative to what he has now, $260+ million to $3.5 billion, wherever it is going to fall right now. That's what he's getting. And it seems like, Adelson, they just pretty much cashed out a couple of their stocks to the tune of about $2 billion to buy that majority stake. So it's not like he's selling the entire team, but the majority stake, which does matter. It's a controlling interest. He's just going to be left on board, or I don't know. There's going to be some language in the contract.
Kind of surprising because then he gives up control.
Yeah, he gives up control.
Can't they fire him?
In that paperwork, there must be something that says that he's going to be able to stay basketball operations and that he could control.
But I'm saying if they're perennial lottery teams,
I don't know.
Hey, Mr. Cuban, can we be coming to my office, pal?
Coming to my office, Cuban. You want to work at that Dairy Queen you was at a couple of years ago? They're hiring.
Oh man.
Man, but I never thought he'd give up that team, man. He loves basketball. He loves the players. He loves being around him.
That's shocking, man.
Yeah, but he's 65, man. This dude just got old before our eyes. 65 years old now, man.
Damn, I didn't know he was that old.
Yeah, me neither.
Right.
But
still, he could basically at 65, he can retire now and just enjoy the team more.
But he's a better businessman, I guess, basketball person, because he's always been excellent in that business. He talked about selling trash bags from door to door when he was younger. So now he's selling basketball teams door to door or in cyberspace, getting huge money. Come on, the Adelsons, by the way, they're worth $35 billion. So they making him look like small peanuts anyway. They're able to chalk this up, scratch off a couple billion, throw it his way and say, hey, let's make sure this basketball team keeps on track. That's it. So that would be
very interesting.
Interesting. Time to flew, man. We'll get into some basketball, more basketball talking tomorrow. I think college basketball is still going on. Purdue's the new number 1 because Kansas was upset. So we got some things going on. And no one really cares this early. Nah. Yeah. All these tournaments going on in nowhere, Florida and other places. But it's fun though to see. I'm going to go to my first Jacksonville University game sometime next week and see how that goes. I thought they would be here in Jacksonville last Saturday. Saw the schedule. It says at Jacksonville, at least on the schedule. I'm thinking I'm going to get them a chance to watch them play FDU, Fairleigh Dickinson University from Jersey. And it's a doggone tournament game in Pittsburgh. They just happen to be the home team.
The home team for it.
Yeah, man, get out of here with that. Just ruined it for me, Ali, I bet. But I'm going to go watch them anyway because I typically watch a handful of their games every season, along with the University of North Florida. So anyway, that'll be fun. Baseball also, man, the hot stove's going up. The Japanese pitcher, the Yankees are now in the running. Yeah, and the Dodgers are in the running. The Toronto Blue Jays just threw their hat in. Boston's in it. All the big dogs are in it. So he'll be in.
I saw a report that teams are calling the Blue Jays about Vlad and Bichette.
Woo! I don't know that, man.
I don't know why they would want to trade either of those
guys. You start all over again.
Right. I don't know. Yeah, but Bleacher Report sometimes has some bogus.
Yeah, all right.
articles. I didn't read it. I just saw the headline.
I have a friend of mine that writes for Bleacher Report. Did I haven't kept in touch with him for a while. Might need
Should
to get
ask
it
them why they come up with bogus headlines.
like the Onion.
Like I get notifications. 8 trade scenarios that would help each basketball team. Come on, man.
They do that just to get content, man.
Yeah,
Come on.
Never read those.
All right, man. So we'll be back on top of this again tomorrow. The Sports Bag Bros podcast will be back on for Wednesday, man. We're already at hump day. Time just flew. I mean, the 5 days off kind of flew. Now this is flying. But anyways, we'll be back. And tomorrow with more sports, basketball, football. Hey, you might have something going on in boxing for all we know. Things just happen on the fly. We just don't know. It just ends up happening. Luckily, sports is not static. Anyways, I'm Trav. He's biased. And
adios.